Okay, people, this is just going to be a quick lesson. We've already talked about how to factor a trinomial, but notice that in this trinomial here, we've got a number in the front. It's a coefficient, I guess you could call it, and it's sitting in the front. We got a 4 there. Now, when you get a question like this in this course, 99% of the time, you will be able to factor out this number. In other words, you'll be able to say, all of these three terms can be divided by this number right here. And that's how the questions are going to work in this grade 11 college course, okay? It doesn't always work that way in math, but with this course it should, okay? So what you do is you take out that 4, put it in the front, and you write down what's left over. You divide each of these by 4. So 4x squared divided by 4 is just x squared. Okay, negative 8x divided by 4 is negative 2x. Negative 60 divided by 4 is negative 15. Okay, and then from there, you just keep writing the 4 in the front, and you factor this thing just like you did in the last lesson. So I almost don't even need to continue here, but I'm going to do it just because, okay? So let's factor this trinomial. Okay, remember the x goes right there and right here. And the 15, something times something is 15. And if you add it together, you get negative 2. So something times something is negative 15. Well, I'm thinking 5 and 3. Okay? So I'm going to go negative 5 and a positive 3. They multiply to make negative 15, and they add to make negative 2. I am done this question. Okay, I could check it if I wanted. If I multiplied all of this out using FOIL, and then multiplied my final answer by 4, I would end up getting this once again. Okay, let's go to the next question. We're just going to do like 3 of these, and that'll be good for this video. Remember what I said? You can divide both terms here. This is a binomial, but you can divide both terms by the coefficient right here, the number that's in front. Sometimes they call that A, the letter A. All right, so divide both sides by 2. Divide each term by 2. You get x squared, and 50 divided by 2 is 25. This was on purpose, this question, because you're going to get questions like this. You can factor this, and in a previous lesson, you might remember we talked about something called a difference of squares. This is a perfect square, and so is 25. Both of these are perfect squares. So if you recognize that, you can just say, okay, I'll put the x there and I'll put the x there. What's the square root of 25? It is 5. 5 times 5 is 25. And if you remember the trick to do this quickly, all you do is put a plus on one of them and a minus on the other, and we've got our answer. Okay? If you multiplied this all out, you would end up getting 2x squared minus 50. All right? And don't forget, you multiply all this out, and then the last step is to multiply it by 2. Okay? Let's do one more question, and that's good enough for this video. So it looks complicated because there's decimals, but again, in this course, most of the questions, you should just be able to divide both terms by what you see in front. So divide, and don't forget the negative sign too. Divide by 4.9. What's left over? Well, if you divide by that, you end up getting t squared plus, okay, 19.6. You can use your calculator if you want. 19.6 divided by negative 4.9 will give you negative 4. So we don't really, it's a negative 4, so you could write it like that, but I would probably just go like this. Oops. T squared. I would just put a minus 4 there, because that's okay. Now look at that. As soon as I did that minus 4, little lights should be flashing in your brain. You're like, whoa, I see a difference of squares here. So I can do this really quickly. You just put the t right there and right there. And 4 is a perfect square, so 2 times 2 makes 4. And just put a plus and a minus. And I'm done this question. Okay? You could check it by multiplying this using FOIL. Once you're done that, multiply everything by negative 4.9. You would get the same thing that's up here. Okay? But I'm keeping this video super short. So let's do that. Have a good one.